Okay.
I like that you put the master classes on the member only side, like on YouTube. That's really, really clever.
Luke, my friend,
Really nice.
we're live.
We're live? We're
Yeah, we're
live.
live. Hello,
Oh my
everybody.
God.
Everybody, hello. Welcome to our first annual, but also possibly weekly, but probably not weekly, semi-monthly critique stream where the various members of Copy That review your copy that you wrote. Hello, everybody. We have Philip in here. We have Traveling Merchant in here. Hello. Those are a lot of emojis. We're live. Let's go. This is my first
pop out chat. Okay,
Yeah,
I've got everything set up.
Awesome. So this is my first experience using a new type of streaming service. We wanted to have this stream for a couple of different reasons. One, because starting on the first Monday of February, we are going to launch season 3 of Copy That. We are going to start streaming on YouTube rather than Twitch. So that's going to be a thing. Another thing that is changing is, well, we are trying to think of ways to increase the value of the Patreon without increasing our workload too much, to be completely honest. And we were doing miscellaneous streams every Thursday afternoon. I guess for Luke it would be Thursday night. Anyway, and so we figured, well, easy trade-off. You guys want your copy critiqued. We want content. And so ipso facto, bingo bango, why don't we just critique patreon.com/thecopythatshow member copy? And here we are. So we got Oliver. We got
Oh wow, we actually see text like show up on.
We got Jennifer.
That's so cool.
It's super cool.
Oh my God.
I know,
dude. This is like this is like so much more comfortable than like Twitch.
Yeah. No, it's actually delightful. So far, so good. So why don't we skip the, how should I say, the pleasantries, the intro. Oh, I did forget one announcement. Alex, I think, just broke his foot. And so he did it right before this particular stream. And so he will have to join the next one. So everybody pray for Alex. Hope that he mends well and that the emergency room, well, what are they going to do? Splint a foot? No, they're just going to give him like Tylenol and tell him to go home. So
here's a painkiller, buddy.
Yeah, that's pretty much. If it were in America, it would be like, here's some ibuprofen. That'll be $800, please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we can get right into it, right?
Yeah. So all right. This is so high tech. Let me see if I can do this. Boom. This is.
Oh my God.
I know, it's so cool, right? So we are going to start with a draft page from, I believe, their name is Laura. Some context for this. This is my first Fintech copy job, so I'd certainly appreciate any insight. Thanks in advance. I would love for this to be critiqued. It is a web page for a new product in Fintech. The product is software for reconciliation. I hate reconciliation, so that's cool. And this specific page goes into more detail regarding bank reconciliation. If you need any more details, please let me know. Now, really quick before we dive in, can everybody see what's on my screen? Okay. Is it live? We were just asked if this is live. No, it's not. This is a pre-recording.
Yeah, we are not actually here right now. This is all just a fantasy.
This is all we planned everything, including the comment of yours that we just had pop up. So that was all pre-planned. That's how good of marketers we are. So now we know the context. Let's dig in to this copy. This is a webpage that specifically addresses bank reconciliation. It's to be added to a website in addition to the actual page that describes the reconciliation software. Target audience, small to medium-sized businesses that have outgrown something like QuickBooks but can't afford and don't yet need something as big, expensive as Recon Art. So one of the things that I already like here is that if we're talking to people who are just getting started, one of the things that you should always do before any piece of copy begins is provide context in the very beginning of a piece of copy. Like, what is this? What is it for? What am I doing? What are you supposed to get out of what you subsequently read? And that's important because, one, the people who hire you probably have hired other people. For that reason, they will often forget the projects that they assign to you. And three, you'll submit something after working on it for a month and be like, here you go. And the person who hired you will be like, wait, what is this supposed to be? Huh? Luke, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. No, I would say so.
Yeah.
Sean is Chat GPT.
This is a fake live stream. It is a recording from the future. Yes, that's exactly true. Somehow I've managed to entangle everything.
Quick question, Sean. Do we want to like post a little announcement in the Discord chats just to get like some more people aware that we are critiquing right now? Or
Absolutely.
I can post in the copy that one. I'm not able to post in the CC, just to let you know.
Okay. Let me make sure that event is started. Yeah, it's started.
Cool.
Copy critiques. Everybody in the CC is about to get a ping.
Perfect.
You have a mechanical keyboard?
I do. I do.
How satisfying is that?
It's so good. It's so good. You do need to clean them every now and then, though. Like, they get dirty a lot faster.
I have this for that reason.
Oh, nice. You actually have one of those. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I need to get
it's
one.
USB chargeable, so cleans everything.
Nice. Luke got banned. That's so funny. I got banned. No, I didn't. Don't worry. Okay. I think our announcements are out.
Okay.
Let's go.
For solution-aware people, headline one. So for context, everybody who's watching this, solution-aware refers to Eugene Schwartz and the 5 different stages of awareness. Oftentimes I find people like really hyper-fixate on what stage of awareness a piece of copy either needs to be or is designed for. And they sort of like lose the spirit of those, which is simply to just gently help you craft a message towards people. And here's a very simple example of what I mean. If you're talking about a product that helps somebody with bunions, well, the people who have bunions probably don't need to be explained what bunions are. On the flip side of that, if a person doesn't know what a bunion is, has never heard of a bunion, they are what we would call an unaware audience. And so the copy would, of course, have to educate them about the problem that they may or may not have. That's the key difference. And Eugene Schwartz says there's 5 gradations of awareness. And that's what is being referred to here. Let's see.
So someone who's solution aware in this case would already know that there's a problem and they already know that there's a solution to that particular problem.
Yep, precisely.
Also, I really like how this person has given us a little bit of context. I don't know if the other ones will also have that, but that makes it so much easier for us to critique and take a look at what's going on in here.
Oh, yeah. Too often, people that are new to copy will just be like, here, critique my words. And then I'll be like, what is this even supposed to be or for? I don't know what that is. So good to be helpful in that way. Stop wasting time hunting for clues in your bank statements. With business name, bank reconciliation. What do you think of that?
I like the first part of the headline. I think it's pretty good. It's basically showing that there's a problem. Stop wasting time hunting for clues in your bank statements, right? Like that is the problem. If that is the problem that people are having with business name, company name, bank reconciliation is a little bit weaker. I think it could be a little bit more benefit driven.
Yeah. I mean, here the main benefit is obviously saving time. Hunting for clues feels a little vague for me. It feels a little disconnected because I don't know if anybody here has done reconciliation, accounting reconciliation, it's unpleasant. Basically, what you're doing is you're looking for like you
Matching
have this
records, right?
right. You're matching records. You have like your actual transactions with your bank, and then you have the things that are written in your ledger that have been recorded. And you need to make sure that the transactions that occurred match up with the things that you have in your ledger. And your ledger could be like multifaceted. You could have 8,000 different ledgers, one for each chart of accounts that you have. Like one would be like, PayPal income. Another would be like Stripe income. Another would be like, spending on furry equipment, etc. And so reconciliation is going through all of those charts of accounts and then making sure they match up with or reconcile with the actual transactions that took place in your bank. It is awful.
Yeah. So one thing I think I see here that you sort of alluded to now is that this is not really clear enough.
Yeah.
I don't know how that came in there. I don't know how much time you spent on this headline, obviously. This could be a little bit too flowery, I guess, hunting for clues. It's that like, that I don't know if that's the proper term, but it's like, I think it's called general reference, right? Where you're making the mistake where you assume people know what you're thinking, but they're not really knowing what you're thinking. So it's a lot better to just be clear and say something like, stop wasting time matching records or searching for, match records or something in that like alley, I would say. Probably a lot better than saying hunting for clues. Because you can interpret this in many different ways.
Yeah, and of course the only way to know is to test, right? One of the things that I generally recommend to people, especially like for something like this, which is meant to be a web page on a larger site, you're going to have a lot of different opportunities to test, and you could do that what's called A/B testing, which is you have two copies of the same page, each one with a different headline. You drive traffic to both, or if you don't have that leeway, you can do what's called a longitudinal test, which is, for 1 week, you try one and see what the bounce rate is, see what the stats are for that page. Then for the next week, you try the next one and you see what the stats are. And gradually what you're trying to see is like a trend in the correct direction, which is, lower bounce rate, more time on page, et cetera, et cetera. For this, I would generally say no. And there's a quick test that I want to give everybody here for determining, how should I say, whether a headline or a bullet is good, which is the 4 U's. So that's unique, ultra specific, useful, and urgent. So really, you only need 2-ish of the U's to like have a really good headline or have a really good bullet. And depending on the type of copy, really like 1 U will be enough. Like, for example, if you're writing a direct response long form sales letter or something like that, unique is going to be extremely important. Ultra specific is going to be like super important. And then, take your pick between usefulness and urgency. You can have a very vague headline that's just weird and specific enough to keep somebody reading. So
I recently read Caples's book, Tested Advertising Methods, which is a really good one, by the way. It's really hard to find. But one thing he says about headlines is you need to make an appeal to the person's self-interest. That's the most important thing. And secondary to that comes curiosity. Like a curiosity only driven headline can attract the wrong audience. Like it might get might get people to read, but it might not get the qualified people. So one thing I always do when I'm writing a headline is like, am I making some sort of appeal, like some sort of promise or some sort of, am I alluding to some kind of benefit in my headline that appeals to that self-interest of my reader? Like that is the first and foremost thing I do when I'm writing headlines.
Awesome. Yeah, so I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the things that I've gradually discovered is that I disagree with John Caples there. And I think that's just, I think that's just more of like a trend. And I don't know if it's permanent, but one of the things that I've noticed in copy over the years is very simply like everybody has a benefit headline. Like everybody has a how to do this thing without the this pain point. how to accomplish.
It doesn't
the
have to
reading.
be that direct,
Yeah.
obviously. It doesn't have to be that direct. You can be indirect and still hint at, okay, if you're going to read this, you're going to get some certain gain from it, right? Whether it's free information, whether it's some sort of product or whatever, you need to just give them a reason to keep on reading.
Yeah. I agree with that. And for me, like, that reason to keep on reading comes in the lead or in the deck copy. But with
Yeah.
headlines, for me, and this is just based on my experience, and of course, my experience could be wrong, but I've noticed that uniqueness, coming at things from a weirder angle, that has been the thing that has led to breakout performance in recent years, more so than benefits, more so than usefulness. But every page and every piece of copy is different. And of course, every client is going to be different. So nothing is ever absolutely so. So, and when it comes to this headline, if we're going to assess it by these 4 U's, what grade would you give it? On a scale from 1 to 4.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't say it's extremely unique.
Yeah,
I don't think it necessarily has to be. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's reasonably specific. I mean, it's already about some specific problem, right? It's reconciliation and bank statements. It's reasonably specific. It's not extremely vague. The hunting for clues is vague, but it's not extreme. I would say it's useful. I wouldn't say it's urgent. No, I don't think it's urgent at all.
Yeah. I'd say it's mildly useful. For me, it's the hunting for clues that undermines the specificity of this. So there's that. So I would say, work on this headline. And here's a lesson that I got when I first started writing copy. I wrote a piece for a web page, and it had a headline. My mentor didn't like it very much, and so he said, "Okay, delete that headline and write 100 more, and then go through that 100 and grade them the way that we just did, and then take the ones that were best, save those, and then take that minus 100 and write whatever is remaining until you get to 100 again, and then just gradually whittle down until you have basically a list of the best headlines you can possibly write." Now, here's the reason why you want to do that, and why that sounds like an awful arduous task, but also allows you to get at more creative things. Because your first, I want to say,
someone said we lost audio. Did we
lose audio? Oh no. Can anybody hear me?
Audio is fine. Someone else says.
Okay.
Might just be them. Okay.
Alrighty. Anyway, long story short, the problem with you writing a headline is that you were going to be very much laser focused and locked in to whatever first idea you came up with. And so your first 23, I'm just throwing out a random number, your first 23 headlines are going to be some variation of that original idea for that headline. And then tiredness and exhaustion is going to set in, and mental fatigue, and this is an awful exercise. And you're just going to start throwing out really random ideas. You're going to start going into left field. You're going to be like, what could I possibly do? And that's the point where, like, you've exhausted, what you thought you were capable of. And that's the point where you start to stretch, and your creativity starts to venture out into weirder and weirder and weirder territory. And that's often where you typically find your best work. It's beyond the point of where you thought you were capable. So that's a really, really good
exercise. It's kind of funny, like that usually is like the same deal with like people's leads, right? Like you can just cut out like the first 20 lines of like copy most people write like after the headline, and then like most people get actually to the selling points. It's always funny. It's like you need a little runway to sort of get up to speed before you're able to fly and write good copy.
Yeah. The copywriter David Deutsch calls that throat clearing, where like typically when people start a piece of copy, it's a lot of like, today I'm going to be talking about this. Yeah. So anywho, let's go to the first section. How many hours do you, your finance team, or your accountant spend each month manually entering numbers, unexplained discrepancies, rabbit holes of bank statements that don't align, money spent on overtime, costly audits? What do you make of this?
seems a little going into many different directions. I think some words here could be simplified as well. Unexplained, discrepancies. I think you just want to make things a little bit more simpler and just say something like, do you struggle with matching your statements, your bank statements? I think this could be one sentence almost.
Yeah. Because I think what they were trying to do was create some sort of parallelism. Like here, how many hours do you spend each month on unexplained discrepancies? Like that's what they're trying to do. How many hours do you spend on going down rabbit holes? I think that's what they were trying to do, but that's not clear, and ultimately this just doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, this seems a little bit rambly. I think it'd be a lot better to just be more clear. This is my opinion about copy. I tend to sort of stray away from fancy writing techniques. Just like keep it simple. Just say something like, like how many hours do you spend on matching records and your ledgers and your books, right? You can still have that, like, you can still give several examples. Just keep it short, keep it simple. A low reading level is good. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. So the person who wrote this said it didn't sound good when you read it out loud. Haha. That is going to be a really good lesson, I think, for everybody watching this, which is if you are not reading your copy out loud to yourself after you've written it, you're not writing your best copy. And the reason why is because your ear is a better test of the naturalness of language than your eyeball is. And so
one thing you can do that's even better than that is, like, if you have a roommate, parent or a partner or whatever, print out your copy, just hand it to them. Like, do you have 5 minutes? Can you read this back to me? Like, when you're reading back to yourself, you have, like, you've got already, like, you already know what you're trying to say, right? So for you, it's going to be a lot easier to read it out loud and say what you're trying to say. But for someone who hasn't read what you've written before, who doesn't know what you're talking about, they're going to, like, struggle a lot more. And the moments where you see them struggle, that's where you need to refine and make your language more simple. That's where you need to make your edits. So that's one thing I can recommend. Have someone else read your copy out loud back to you, if you can, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on from there to, we got an H2, which, by the way, if anybody's looking at this, I really appreciate, as somebody who's read a lot of copy from freelancers that's just words in an RTF file that were just, like, spammed in there. These indicators tell me, like, okay, in terms of formatting, that's what this is going to look like. That's what this section is for. And so, man, really, really beneficial, really, really useful. So we have a question, I think. Lots of people say to use a 5th grade reading level in writing because that's what the majority of people can read. Would you say that works? I would say absolutely yes, it works. So the organization that I am with and have been with for a very long time, they did a massive test across, I think, over 500,000 readers and like multiple publications and things like that. And what they were looking for is, what is the average reading level of these different newsletters, and what of these publications has the best stick rate? As in, people that keep opening these publications and people who keep subscribing, as in renewing their subscription to these publications. And all of them, all the winners, had a reading grade level below 7. The even better ones had a reading grade level below 6. And so that's an important lesson. And a lot of people who get into copywriting have very, how should I say, highfalutin ideas about what makes writing good or not. When it comes to copywriting, one of the things that makes copywriting good is utter, sheer, blatant simplicity and clarity. And so that's something that you have to keep in mind. I use Microsoft Word's FK score to assess.
FK is really good.
FK's it's okay.
I recently read the book by the guy who made that formula. It's a really interesting read, actually. Really, really enjoyed that. Like, I think it's really good for copywriters as well. It's like, it's just simplicity in language is just supreme.
I'm a fan. I personally, I taught creative writing and rhetoric for a long time. And one of the things I used to try to impress upon my students was elegance emerges from clarity. Clarity does not emerge from elegance. And so that's something to keep in mind. But anyway, if you don't have the FK score feature in Word, or if you're using Google Docs, Hemingway app is a good alternative. So let's look at this. So subhead, an end to error searching. What do you think of that?
I think it's too fancy. It's a little bit trying to be clever.
Yeah. Oh, chat is super behind. Oh no. So yeah, I imagine I will get all the chats eventually. So an end to error searching. Yeah, I would say that that's trying too much to be clever, because again, what are we talking about when we talk about how should I say, reconciliation? It's not just errors. It's not just discrepancies. It's also the like, okay, this one $2.59 fee matches up with this split transaction on this. It's not just error searching. It's a lot. And
like, if it was something like finally have your books matched up, or like perfectly aligned or perfectly in line, I think would, to me, if I was reading this, would be a lot more compelling than something which I need to like sort of like try to understand what it's trying to say, right? It's like an end to error searching. It's like, okay, an end to error searching. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, you mean I'm making mistakes in my bookkeeping? Okay, but what mistakes am I making in my bookkeeping? Oh, okay, like, again, matching records. All right.
Yeah. And this, again, one of the things that you can always do for your clients is not just present, like here, one headline. You can present multiple. You can present multiple subhead options. And that gives the client the sort of ability to test different ones, especially ones that they like. And if you have one that you just firmly believe in, then go for that. But I would say, if we look at these 5 bullets, what would be the key benefit that each one sort of alludes to? You got save time and money by automatically importing data from each account into one internalized system. I would say we could probably do without internalized, because, if you have multiple accounts getting into one system, it's just simpler, more immediate for me, personally. Internalized adds nothing there. Cut back on financial workloads and overlooked errors with business names, efficient and accurate matching. Financial workloads and overlooked errors. Is that something that you would hypothetically cut back on?
I don't think so.
Yeah. There's so this is what we would call an imperative verb phrase. And in terms of verb phrases, cut back on overlooked errors. When I say that, does that feel clear or make sense to you?
It does not. Another thing I noticed with the first bullet is that, so it's like save time and money. I was like, okay, cool. And then it's like by automatically importing data from each account into one internal system. And then I'm like, what? How does this benefit me? Like that second part of the bullet, it's like importing data from each account into one system. Why does that benefit me? Right? Like, why does that matter for me to read that? I feel like I'm being told I'm going to save time and money if I do this, but I don't understand what that's going to actually do. I don't understand, like, what's the benefit there, right? It's like, I think you can be more clear there as well.
I think so. In defense of the original author, this person seems to be going for a solution-aware audience. So this person is talking to people who already have some experience with reconciliation software. So I'm going to give it a pass on that.
Okay.
But
I would just draw out that benefit more, right? So if the benefit is not having to use one system anymore, you can just say like, sick and tired of matching your books through 10 different systems. Now use only one, right? Like then I would be like, oh, okay, that's the benefit here, right?
Yeah. I like save time and money. That's a clear benefit. Cut back on
That's a
financial
benefit.
workloads and overlooked errors, not as clear of a benefit to me. Like, it depends on how aggressive you want to be. But in terms of errors with reconciliation, one thing that you can do, and this is a brainstorming technique, is just think, okay, what are the logical and legal ramifications of an error if somebody doesn't use the software to fix that error? Tax fraud. Save yourself from jail. Like, they're obviously the extreme things.
That'd be funny to see on a website.
Yeah.
Keep yourself out of jail.
Yeah.
Don't think I'd ever see that.
Never commit tax fraud. Accidentally commit tax fraud again.
Also, just like to let the viewers know, like anyone that's putting their copy out here, I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm just trying to like find any point where we can improve. So
yeah, I hope, Laura, that you're getting something out of this. The conversations that we tend to have are more freewheeling and more, how should I say, these are all obviously all subjective, because if you ask 10 copywriters for their opinion on a piece of copy, you're going to get 12 answers. And so one of the things that we always have to kind of keep in mind is that there's a lot of different ways we can slaughter this chicken.
yeah,
so
absolutely.
Hopefully this is helpful and beneficial. So reduce the risk of costly auditing with history tracking and generated statements. Okay, that seems fair in terms of like actual accounting software. So grow your business. So appreciate your advice. Feel free to rip it apart. New copywriter didn't know what reconciliation was prior to this job. Yeah, I get it. Anybody who's watching this already knows more about reconciliation than I personally ever wanted to. So grow your business with better financial decisions on a day-to-day by managing and monitoring cash flow in real time. So one of the things that I notice is you're doing a lot of pairing, like paired benefits. Grow your business, better financial decisions by managing and monitoring cash flow. So you got this and this by this and this.
Like you could just say grow your business by making better financial decisions, right?
Yeah.
Or because you're now making better financial decisions, your business grows, right?
Yeah. Or here's how here's a playful way I might rewrite this bullet. Capitalize on your cash flow clarity to grow your business.
Yeah.
There you go. What does this do? It gives you clarity on your cash flow. What is the benefit of that? It allows you to grow your business. Done.
Like the cool thing with lots of these things here is that like most people, like, most new writers or any copywriters, like they write lots of good stuff and it's mostly just rearranging things. Cause like what you just said, like you could just say like you could add the save time to that benefit and suddenly the pairing would make a lot more sense, right? Like now that you've got more time and more clarity of your cash flow, it becomes super easy to grow your business, right? Suddenly those pairings and those elements start to make more sense. And like, you've got that like nodding effect where the reader's like, yes, this is what I want to have.
Yeah.
It's just rearranging things to make more logical sense, I guess.
And also simplifying things, obey the rule of one. Now, I'll give you another example of the pairing the multi-pairing that I see you doing. Yeah. So this person wants me to give that example. So here, capitalize on your cash flow clarity to grow your small business. That is what we're doing there. That was my suggestion. Obviously, people can rewrite and play with those bullets and things like that. You might read that or put that down and be like, it doesn't really work for the tone of this business. And, that's just what came off to me at the top of my head. Anyway, I want to make the final point about this syntactic pairing that you're doing. So here's another example. Cut back on financial workloads and overlooked errors. So that's a pairing with business names, efficient and accurate matching. So we got 2 benefits, cutting back on financial workloads, avoiding errors. Those could be separate bullets. Have each bullet focus on one benefit, and then a feature: efficient matching, accurate matching. And so what you would want to do is, instead of trying to lump it all together with these, what you're doing is 2 compound clauses. So 2 compounds per clause, before and after the predicate. So I think I got that right. It's been a while since, I think it's been a while since that. But just clarifying, like, focus on one here and one here, and all of a sudden your bullet is going to be much stronger. So that's what I would recommend there. And anybody watching this, like, you can really improve your bullets by just making it much more focused. So I'm behind on comments. It takes courage to put yourself out there and be open to criticism. Absolutely, it does. So kudos to everybody who did. If I submit a piece of copy now, would you review it? Well, you are about 10 people behind on the list, and this is the first one, and we've allocated about 90 minutes for this stream, so probably not. But I think we might do this either next week or the following week. Would you like to do this again next week?
Yeah, I would. This is pretty fun.
Yeah, I like this. So definitely, if you're a Patreon member, submit it to exclusive critiques on the Copy That Discord, and we will get to it. And it's all first come, first serve, so all that. So here we go. Headline 3: a modern approach that expands with your business. This is the same. Automatically learns the patterns of your data to identify matches and offer insights on resolving discrepancies. So this is a small thing. It's not a big thing. What do you get? What benefit do you get in terms of speaking to the reader and communicating your message by saying, and offer insights on resolving discrepancies, versus and resolve discrepancies? Here's what I mean. I'm going to repost this sentence and give you an alternative. So if we had a choice between what you originally wrote and this really small edit that I just made, what would you choose? What do you guys think?
I think you can also cut out that automatically, just make it business name learns the patterns of your data and identifies, or to identify matches and resolve discrepancies.
Counterpoint, I think automatically is better here. Cool thing about adverbs is you can move them all around in a sentence and it will still make sense, but you could put different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was looking at, like, how does that adverb modify the verb learns? It doesn't really add so much, but when you say automatically identify, now you've got something that's going on that's pretty interesting, right? Because, okay, so it identifies things automatically, which means I don't have to do it, right? Meanwhile, the learning is like, I don't really care that it learns it automatically, right? It's like, yeah, good point. What is a discrepancy? Yeah, exactly. Like, look, hard words. But then again, I think the audience here would know what a discrepancy is because they are accountants. It's basically an inconsistency or mismatch, like Traveling Merchant says.
Yeah, and the person who wrote this says that what I wrote is way easier to parse. And one of the things, here's all I did. All I did was look for redundancy in the language and then cut it. And all of a sudden we have a much clearer sentence. And then by moving the word automatically from before this verb to the benefits, well, all of a sudden the benefits feel automatic rather than like the software automatically learning something. So again, like, we didn't rewrite that sentence. We just did some bonsai.
Mumble jumbled it up. Yeah.
Mumble jumbled it up. Trademark by Copy That. So that's something to keep in mind. And like, we're not going to do that for every single one of your sentences, but every single person watching this needs to have the ability to look at their sentences that way. That is one of the last types of edits that you would want to do for your copy. You know, the first thing that you need to do is make sure that the idea works, that everything is working and flowing seamlessly. And then the function edits, which would be like making sure that everything is in the right sequence and like happening in the order that would be most persuasive to the person. And then when you do line edits, that's when you do punch ups like that. Can I phrase this? Can I reorient the sentence in a way, pardon me, that makes it more powerful? So that is what I recommend. Our software integrates all accounts and institutions into one internalized system. That means you can easily track your finances, quickly resolve any discrepancies in banking errors, and match recorded balances and bank statements. Okay. Feels a little redundant, I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
It utilizes machine learning, sexy, topical, to constantly enhance the efficiency of the reconciliation process. This modern approach can actively develop to integrate new data systems and understand a variety of formats. So I'm gonna this is a we're about to do a little mini masterclass on spin. Every good copywriter needs to understand spin. This is something that is going to separate you from AI, from ChatGPT. AI does not know how to spin. Humans know how to spin. So if we were to spin modern approach into something that feels more instinctually beneficial, how would we spin this?
Asking chat or me.
You or chat.
So like try to find a new way to say this or give it a new term, right? I mean, like if you look back at what we said automatic identifier. We could say something like this new identifier can integrate data systems or something like of that regard.
Here's the spin. We got new method. Here's the spin that immediately comes to my mind. This AI powered
pattern sniffer.
Not pattern sniffer. AI powered either, I would say, system.
Mm-hmm.
This AI powered, just AI powered in general, because we already talked about machine learning. So AI powered system can actively develop to integrate new data systems and understand a variety of formats. Everybody right now has the notion in their mind that AI is somehow the answer to their problems. So why not lean into that? We already mentioned that it utilizes machine learning. That's AI. So all of a sudden, now, instead of this modern approach, which feels a little vague, we are capitalizing on what we've already said, and we're adding another spin that not only leans into people's notions, but also feels like an added benefit. That's my perspective. Let's see what other people think. We got new method. We got technology enhanced approach. It's a little wordy for me. We have a question for someone who just started learning about copywriting. You guys are doing a good job. I have watched the 5 hours video. I learned a lot. Wonderful. We're really glad to be able to make content that can help everybody here. So we appreciate your patronage and thank you for watching our stuff. We try to help people. Anyway, that's the brief little masterclass on spin, which is look at what you've covered before and look at how you can. It's called dimensionalizing. That's a fancy word for basically making a thing that you said more readily, how should I say, appreciable, understandable, more apparent. Machine learning.
Make up new ways to say the same thing.
Pretty much. Machine learning, cool. Total buzzword, very neat. AI powered is just dimensionalizing or amplifying that previous thing. And for me, it's done so more specifically than modern approach.
Agreed.
Because of its adept technology, Business Name was built to help businesses big and small, accurately and efficiently maintain reconciliation on a daily basis. Again, this feels a little repetitive, and like this doesn't feel like very strong copy to me. So I would say this.
Yeah, I think what we said before, sort of like to look for redundancy, is going to be quite important. There are a lot of big words in here that could just either be cut out or worded in a more simple manner.
I think we just got a donation. Thank you very much. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. So maybe we're doing something helpful. Anyway, to the person, I don't want to blast your name on YouTube, but what questions do you have for us? Did this help? Do you feel like you have enough, how should I say, to sort of rework this and start thinking about this in either a new way? You blast my name. Laura! Laura! did this help? Do you feel helped?
Shout out to Laura.
Shout out to Laura. Excited to revise this. Lovely. Excellent. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So because we have this question, my spec piece is fourth line. In case you don't get to it in the street, do I have to repost it for next week, or will you pick up where you left off? That's a good question. This is the first one of these we did, so I don't think we have a protocol. But we will try to get at least 4 in line. So next one, we will try our best to like not have so many like tangential lessons. So let's go.
Yeah, potentially we can sort of refer to the same topic. Are these recorded, by the way, now that we're on YouTube?
God, I hope so. Oh man.
Oh God, yeah.
Technology.
Well,
anyway,
we'll see.
Technology. Hashtag Laura. Indeed. Hashtag Laura. So we are going to go on to the next one. So let's see if I can pull this up. Okay. Ooh. Let's see. Okay. And I think this works. We are going to go to this.
Yes, you got it.
Brilliant. I'm learning how to do this. I think.
Oh yeah. So people are saying we could just keep the stream on the channel. Do we want to do that? I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that to me was the goal. Like for example, I know that this particular streaming software allows us to have like, if you would like your copy critiqued by us and whatnot, yes, I'm such a good copywriter, right? Sign up for patreon.com/thecopythatshow, throw it into exclusive critiques, etc., etc. So let's see. Here's the context for this page. This is a web page I'm working on offering high-ticket private trail rides in private ranch land near Big Bend National Park. That's cool.
That's a very unique offer.
Yeah, super unique. Oh, I love that shit. Traffic will be driven originally through social media and physical flyers. This person obviously knows what they're doing, as well as a partnership with a local glamping business that is glamorous camping, or camping but without the rough stuff. Camping but for soy boys.
Oh my God.
I love making jokes like that, and people will like misinterpret the irony there. I am being ironic. I love soy. It's delicious. All right. So a target audience of well-off 30 to 45-year-old hiking enthusiasts looking for something exclusive and interesting to add to their national park trip. The links for the two options, wagon or horse, will lead to an Airbnb experience page tailored specifically for the option chosen. This guy has put some thought into this. I love this.
Yeah, this is really cool. Actually, really, really cool.
This will
nice idea.
Yeah, very good idea. This will delve more into the nitty-gritty of what exactly to expect. I'd love it if y'all would look into it in the stream. So that's it.
Oh, we're looking.
We're looking. So, first off,
yeah, let's make this a little bit bigger if we can.
Okay. Boop. All right. So first off, I think this page is off to the right track. But if you were to give some advice on this headline, complex, what would you suggest?
Okay, take a guided horse or wagon tour in Big Bend country, a once in a lifetime excursion into the frontier. Um, okay, I mean, I guess we can just go by the four U's, I guess, right?
Yeah. So in terms of uniqueness,
Hmm.
so once in a lifetime,
I think the
that
offer is very unique, but the headline isn't extremely unique. Does that make sense?
totally, 100%.
Like once in a lifetime it's just a vague promise, like truly. Um,
For me, like this is just an experience thing. Sometimes good enough is good enough, and you
yeah,
don't need to
fair.
like reinvent once in a lifetime to subtextually communicate once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime, if you're going to go with the
No.
Kyle Milligan like Nesby thing, what's being communicated there is only or new or
Hmm.
something along those lines.
Yeah, the
So
first thing I'm thinking is like this is an appeal to, like something that's like wondrous, right? It's wonderful. It's something big, something epic, something vast and amazing.
yeah,
If that's going to be the like, I would assume that the rest of this landing page is going to go harder on that particular appeal. The desire to have adventure and to go into the beyond, right?
yeah. So I want to get to that because I think that's a very good point and will take us in a good direction. One thing that I think is going very well for this is that the people that click an ad to go onto this page, they already know they probably want a guided tour in Big Bad Country. So this
Yeah.
is a great page designed for people that are already more or less aware of the product, more or less aware of the offer, more or less aware of their own desires. So you can be fairly direct, and this specificity,
Yeah.
that ultra specificity, adds to the experience of the copy. So
I could
kudos on that.
see I could see this definitely being like advertised in like big band country tours or camping or trips, keywords like that. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
So we sort of glommed on to once in a lifetime, and I sort of like gave it a pass. But the one word that I do want to dig into just a little bit is excursion. And
Okay.
that's the definition of excursion, if anybody was wondering.
Short journey or trip.
So let me put it to you this way, Luke. Have you ever woken up just like thrown the sheets, sweaty with nightmare sweat, off of your body when you wake up in the morning and go, God damn, do I want an excursion today?
I have not.
I haven't either.
maybe like in elementary school when we would do a field trip, but no.
But that's the thing. Have you ever done that and been like, I want an adventure today?
Yeah,
I have.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It's
So
like here the wording is like sort of like masking the actual desire, right? Like the want. Whereas to say something like adventure or journey or like something like that would be so much more powerful because it would just be directly in line. Uh yeah, like people wouldn't be like excursion, what? Like
yeah.
I mean obviously I got it, but now that you say it, like I think something like adventure would be so much stronger in this outline.
Yeah, and I can't take credit for that. That was all this gentleman right here. I'm assuming the
I
gentleman.
would
I
I would
apologize
say
for.
I
Yeah,
would say though that a once in a lifetime adventure sort of starts to veer into the territory of unbelievable. So I would adjust there then. But adventure would be better.
I think I would be okay with going big on that promise. A once in a lifetime adventure into the frontier. Into the frontier. It's okay. Like I give it a solid
Yeah,
like B minus B. But also at the same time, the people that are clicking onto this page, they already typically probably want an adventure in the frontier. So
exactly.
yeah, I think that's pretty good. Have you ever seen the movie City Slickers?
I have not.
It is an early 90s movie about a bunch of yuppies who basically go on a once in a lifetime adventure into the frontier.
So first tip, whoever wrote this.
First tip, watch the movie City Slickers and the movie City Slickers 2, Curly's Revenge.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus. Let's see.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Journey into the Frontier sounds like a fantasy adventure film. Who wouldn't want to live out one of those? And yeah, I agree. And that's something to keep in mind with these kinds of offers, these experiential kinds of offers that you can write copy for. Like, people want to pay for these things.
Yeah.
Because it's different from their normal day-to-day life. They'll never have an experience like herding cattle, for example, or I don't know, doing a mock simulation of Navy SEAL training, which is an experience I know people have paid for, like for real. And so, like, why would you torture yourself like that? I don't know. But people pay for it a lot of money, like tens of thousands of dollars to have these experiences. And to that end, for a lot of these people, it really truly is a once in a lifetime experience. One,
That's
because
true. Yeah.
One, because it's so rare for them to experience it in their day-to-day life, but also two,
Also, like you connect it to, the whole thing that it's like going into the frontier. It's like that is like, it's not like many people would do this again in their lives, right? It's not like they would go on like this type of tour another time. So yeah.
Not only, I mean, the exception to that would be medieval times, which you have to go as often as possible, even though it's the same show every time. But for a lot of these things, yeah, it's like you said, Luke, they're not going to do it again. But also, after you go through a lot of these experiential things, you kind of realize how good you have it in your life. Like, once you've lived as a pilgrim for a week, you don't really want to go back. So that's a good use of once in a lifetime for that context. Let's get into the actual copy. Your backstage pass to Big Bend. So what do you think of that?
It doesn't resonate with me personally, but that's because I think the metaphor clashes with what you're about to venture on.
Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts about this. And like, there are, again, lots of ways to slaughter this chicken to make a meal. My immediate association here with backstage pass, why wouldn't you do backcountry pass? Like, people that are accustomed to hiking and to trailblazing and to these kinds of adventures, they'll understand what the word backcountry means. A backcountry hike is basically off trail. You're going out into the woods, into the backcountry. So
I feel like backstage doesn't really sound thematically aligned or consistent with what we're doing here. It's like backstage, like first thing I think of is a concert, right? Meanwhile, probably want to have is backcountry. That's really good.
Yeah, backcountry is good. Here's another way to phrase this: is see Big Bend like no other tourist has.
Yeah, different type of hook. Different type of appeal, but
exactly, and it appeals to a different kind of person, somebody who wants the kind of experience that normies don't get to have,
which could align more with that headline that we see here. So
yeah, so there are a lot of different ways to do that. Another, like, for example, when I talk about dimensionalization, we often talk about dimensionalization in terms of like changing numbers to be more readily apparent. But you can also dimensionalize benefits to be more readily apparent. Like, for example, instead of, if you have a benefit that's like, this facelift will make you look 20 years younger, or this beauty cream will make you look 20 years younger, you can dimensionalize that by saying, this beauty cream will make your friends accuse you of having a facelift. And so you change the perspective to being about like what you want to being like what other people will experience you as. So, you could have a subhead that's along the lines of like, make every, Big Bend camper jealous of the stories that you're going to tell, or something along those lines. That's the kind of stuff that you would want to be thinking of if you're thinking about things from a lateral perspective. So let's get into the actual copy.
All right, let's go.
And we'll try to make this relatively quick because we've managed to do 2 of these in the time that we allotted. Embrace your inner cowboy. Love it. Whether you're hitting the trail on horseback or riding in an authentic covered wagon, you will catch a rare glimpse of Big Bend. Seeing a side that few tourists ever have. So this is the sort of benefit that I was going for in my imagined reconfigurations of this. What do you think of this sentence?
Whether you're hitting the trail on horseback or riding in an authentic covered wagon, you will catch a rare glimpse of Big Bend. Yeah, it's pretty decent. Pretty good.
You guys are going to like get a sort of like sneak peek insight into my brain, because I've already revealed that this is my litmus test for desirability of benefits. Have you, Luke, ever woken up just like with the DTs, like coming out of a mushroom-induced delirium going, my God, do I want a rare glimpse of Big Bend?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So what I like about this is that, you're hitting the trail on horseback or riding an authentic covered wagon. So we automatically understand these are the 2 different possible ways you can experience this offer. Cool. Right up front, immediately.
Descriptive as well. I think that part was good, but interesting that you point to the last bit of the sentence.
Yeah, I've just been doing this for a long time, so I immediately know, this is the part of the sentence that feels weak to me. Because when I see the words rare glimpse of Big Bend, I go, vague.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think something here could be like, if you were trying to go for that like particular direction, which is the exclusivity and like maybe the amazing things that you will see on this particular journey, why not just say what you're going to see? Like say like you are going to travel like next to beautiful creeks, you're going to see wildlife, you're going to do this and do that. Like if there's like, what is the rare glimpse? Why not make that more concrete? Why not give examples of what the wonder is that you're going to experience when you're going to travel through Big Bend?
It seems like he's getting into that a little bit here. What I would suggest is just going straight from you will catch a rare glimpse of Big Ben, seeing a side that few tourists ever have. Just smoosh them together. You're going to see a side of Big Ben that few tourists ever get to see.
Yeah, it's repetitive there. Yeah. It's just different wording for saying the same thing. Yeah, no, I agree.
Let's see. Hold on. I have to see this. About the stream. Here is the answer of ChatGPT. Many streaming platforms such as YouTube and Twitch automatically save a recording of the stream to the creator's account once the stream ends. So I do have the ability via this streaming service to save a local recording. I do not have that activated. I'm hoping that YouTube saves the stream.
Okay, we'll see.
And then SBJ 300 anticipated what I was going to suggest. I didn't even see this. Yeah. So thank you.
Me neither.
Good job.
Very nice.
Yeah. Chad is killing it right now with the good suggestions. So let's see. Big Bend National Ranch are known to have the most stunning, beautiful, and expansive public lands in America. What is less well known is the beauty of the surrounding private lands. Ooh. Okay. This is a formatting thing, and your mileage is going to vary because who the hell knows if this is going to affect conversions. I would make this its own paragraph.
Yeah. Can see that work.
And the reason why I would make this its own paragraph is because it provides a pivot point in the copy that deserves emphasis. So that's what I would suggest there. But again, totally, how should I say, impossible to tell whether that would affect conversions. So that's just a personal thing. Some parts were even intended to be part of the park by the father of Big Bend National Park, Everett Ewing Townsend. For decades, the beauty of this area has been a local's secret. Many of the locations even more rugged and remote than those in the parks. FYI, I can tell that the person who wrote this is either English, Australian, Irish, or somebody who's not American. So if this is designed to go to American readers, they're going to look at this stuff and go, what the fuck is going on there? So that's just you can immediately notice that. Orthography is a thing that I've cared too much about for too many years. I don't think this is bad.
I think the writer says that he is super American. Oh, that's funny.
So then what are you doing here? What's going on here? I'm waiting. I want to know. I demand answers. I might have to revoke your citizenship with these single quotation marks. So for real, I'm jokingly making a big deal out of this. In reality, it's not that big of a deal. In typical American orthography, anything that is in quotes, like the names of things, would be double quoted. And then in American orthography, punctuation goes inside of double quotes. That's the rule.
Exactly.
It's super simple, not a big deal. But
why need 2 punctuation marks when you can have 1 strong one, right? The American way.
A rebel. So here's the thing. Americans love rebels so long as they are total conformists with American ideology and conventions. Weird how that works. So as long as we're rebelling against everybody else, but not American conventions, then that's how that works. From a journey up the slopes of Christmas Mountain to endless views of rugged desert terrain to gazing down the cliffs of Terlingo Creek, our guides will take you across a ranch with 190,000 acres of private land. So strong copy, perfect, fine. You've already mentioned that this is private. What I would suggest, this is a soft suggestion, because again, when it comes to wording stuff, that doesn't matter as much. What matters is the ideas. But if we're going to look at the wording, I'm going to say, well, what are you trying to communicate here that you haven't yet communicated? I would say 190,000 acres of splendor, of just gorgeous scenery. Like, what do you get to see? Gorgeous private scenery, untouched by civilization. Things of that nature. So I always look for like where you can sort of repeat and re-emphasize what has come before, as we did with the last spec piece. And then look for places where you can go one step removed and add some context to, or add some sort of descriptor to, that you are alluding to here, that just drives home what you're trying to do. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I think, like, let me put it to you this way. For a page like this, most of this is fine. And in fact, I would say all of this is fine. And this is the kind of stuff where, this is the kind of copy where you could probably get away with just posting this. Like, I can see this being on a page already. It's perfectly publishable. The question is it as good as it could possibly be? Totally different set of circumstances, questions, things that you need to address. And if you are not, how should I say, getting paid based on performance, like your merit and like the sales you drive, it's a sort of like scale toss-up as to whether you should care about this kind of stuff. I'm just trying to be practical here for everybody who's watching. Like, how much time and effort and energy should you spend trying to optimize every single sentence? For me, because I'm typically compensated based on net sales, I care a lot. For you, if you're just getting a flat fee for this, might not be worth it. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, just trying to be practical and realistic, and because I know a lot of people here are interested in freelance copywriting, and one of the things that you have to learn is how to balance time and the business aspect, and like your sort of like gauge for what you devote more time to versus others. Getting 10% of the business, so really appreciate the intense feedback. Okay, yes, you make sure every fucking line is dialed in. All right, so let's look at these. What do you think?
We exclusively offer private rides, preserving the silence and majesty of the desert. Take a break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life by immersing yourself in the tranquility of nature. Explore remote trails and scenic vistas that can only be accessed by horseback. Learn about the history and geology of the area from professional experienced guides. Yeah, I think they're pretty standard little benefits here. I think if we're looking at this from like a sales perspective, I think you're going to do most of the convincing in that lead of yours. So if you care the most about that 10% that you're going to get, make sure that this part is very, 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 very good.
Yeah,
that's my
this
take.
needs to be dialed in the most. This needs to be dialed in the second most. This needs to be dialed in the third most. Do you understand why that's the case? Luke, edify for the crowds why that's the case.
Well, I mean, like, people don't know anything you're saying at the beginning. So if you're going to try and convince them, you need to convince them the most at the start, right? Once they're already hooked, once they've drank the Kool-Aid, they're going to keep on reading and they're going to be much more receptive to buy from you. So beginning, you got to be a lot more focused and pointed than maybe later on. So
yeah. And for direct offers like this, he does a very good thing, which is having the book now right there at the beginning. For less direct offers where there's more selling, like, you don't want to have this up there because then you could get a lot of unqualified buyers. But this is the copy that you need to dial in the most because this is what everybody's going to see. You're going to have 100% of people are going to see this that land on this page. 100%. And then some,
like, I would go as far and say that, like, in this part, they're actually making the decision whether or not this is something for them or not. So if you can convince them there, you've kind of done most of the selling.
Yeah, I would agree with that. With these bullets, let me put it this way. If I were to grade these with the 4 U's, what I would say is that what you're going for is some blend of ultra specificity. I want to know exactly what I'm getting. And also uniqueness. Like, somebody doesn't sign up for a trip like this because they want the same thing that they could get somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think these be hard to make very, very good because these are pretty solid. But like Sean says, I think you're gonna want to try and make them different. But because they're sort of bullets, you can't really make them too long or too big. So
yeah, I think the length of these are just right. If I were to say that there's one bullet that stands out to me as like not belonging, I would say it's this one.
Agreed.
Like, of the 4, this one's the weakest, for sure. Now, chat, why do you think that is? The silence is deafening.
It's the silence of the desert.
For usefulness and uniqueness, I think the only access by horseback thing would be good to focus on, right? Yeah, I think that's
it's a good benefit. It's an interesting one. It's very unique. It's that, like Kyle's framework, it's the only thing, like you're being triggered on your need to have something that you can only get here. The problem with the first one, we exclusively offer private rides. First of all, okay, doesn't really matter to me that you are the only ones that do that. That's a statement. I don't really think this is really benefit driven for me. It's not really about me, the reader. So
yeah. So let me put it this way. So there's a couple wording things. There's also a grammatical thing that I think is at work here. Take a look at this. What part of speech is that?
What do you mean?
It's an imperative verb.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a verb that's telling you what to do. What about this
Oh
one?
yeah. It's the same. There's inconsistency between these. Yeah.
There's consistency. Well, what's going on here?
It's not an imperative verb.
Not an imperative verb. So it's more of an announcement than this is a benefit that you get.
So Evan is saying some pretty good things in the chat. Like he's saying, like, I'm a fan of private rights because most rights are on the large group. Why don't you say that in this bullet?
Yeah. So let me put it to you this way,
Mm-hmm.
Evan. So we exclusively offer. So here's the big dummy reading of that. The big dummy reading says, okay, so that's your only offer.
Yeah.
Just because it's we exclusively offer does not mean that this offer is exclusive. It means something different.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like we do thing only we do.
Yeah.
Nature. Right? Like you could read it that way.
Yeah. This word is a stand-in right now for only. We only offer private rides. And if I said that, that's clearly not what this is trying to say, right? So that's that. We offer private rights and rights, preserving the silence and majesty of the desert. So I would probably flip this.
It is what it is trying to say. Okay.
It is what this is trying to say. So it's trying to say that we exclusively offer private rides.
I think the problem here is that we find this too unclear. We're not really sure what's being said here, right?
So yeah, so we exclusively offer.
Sorry,
I imagine
private rides only would be very clear, like if that is what we're trying to say here for the isolated experience. Okay.
So, but there's a difference grammatically between we only offer private rides and we offer rides that you exclusively are able to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
This is exclusive to you. Your experience is exclusive to you, as opposed to us. Our offer is excluded. It excludes all other things. This offer is the only thing that you get.
So there are many different ways to interpret this, right?
Yeah.
Which is not ideal.
So the first place I would, first off, formatting, a little weird. All right, we're just going to say that. Secondly, if we were to make this stronger, I would focus on the second bit and I would go with enjoy the majesty and splendor of a silent desert with our exclusive tour.
Because that would, even just that first part would imply that you have an isolated experience, right? Like by just saying, enjoy the silence of beautiful nature and the splendid wonder, blah, 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 would imply that you're not going to be with a group of 100 people or 40 people or whatever, right?
Yep. Yeah. Privately enjoy the splendor and majesty of the desert with our exclusive rides. Boom. Take a break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life by immersing yourself in the tranquility of nature. I see this one I would flip too. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of nature and take a break.
Yeah.
Explore remote trails and scenic vistas that could only be accessed via horseback. This is really so. I love nature. I love hiking. I love going into nature. And I grew up in Southern California where I actually learned how to ride horses. And there are certain there are certain trails and there are certain places like Grand Canyon, for instance, where you have to be on a horse. You can't not be on a horse. And so that's something that feels unique.
Super unique, by the way. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people who did not grow up in the Southwest don't know that that's a thing. Did you know that there are certain trails in the American Southwest that you can only access via horseback?
I'm not surprised, but also one thing, line edit wise, I guess maybe is access the word we want to use here, or
yeah, I would play around with the wording of that. And Evan, we do need to move on, so I'm just going to invite you to look at this a little bit askance, but look for what pieces of information you think need to be foregrounded the most, and like what in other people's experiences feels the weirdest, because it's the weird, the unique experiences that are going to make people want to buy this more.
But this is a really cool project, just saying. Like,
yeah,
if we can't go through it completely, like, it's just super cool.
This is, so we do have to move on. One thing that I would recommend is playing around with formatting. And I think this was, this was done obviously in Wix. Wix and Squarespace, they give you the offer or the ability to create sections where like the headline text is not just at the top. It's more like punctuated and off to the side, like over here. And then you can have the text run parallel to the headline. It just breaks up the monotony. So it's not like title, text, title, text, fancy picture, title, text.
Yeah. Also, that text might look nicer being left aligned.
Yeah.
Down there.
For me, like anybody who puts something in center aligned text is just telling me that they hate readers. So
yeah.
Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I would put somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I would put something more like find yourself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because that way, like, you play with that pun of like finding yourself, but also like literally finding yourself in the middle of nowhere. So
it's an interesting contrast. Yeah. Because although somewhere in the middle of nowhere is a little vague again. It's just like, okay, all right. Don't make your copy, like, don't let me, your reader, be like, okay, right? Like, it's not the reaction you want to have. You want to have people lean in and lean forward and be more curious, right? Rather than being like, okay.
Cancellations. Here, I want to talk about facts really quick, because this is something that rudimentary list, keep safe on trail, good, private, minimum age, weight limit. Okay. Overnight, weather bad, cancellations. Also, that's another Britishism. Cancellation in American orthography has one L. There you go. I try not to do line edits and stuff like that, but it's just like some of this stuff just jumps out at me. So, and it's like
no, Sean is just questioning Evan's Americanism.
Yeah, I did say I was going to revoke his Patriot card. Yeah, no, these are all good. I don't see, like, this answered all my questions. I would definitely suggest, just going through and like, this is mostly a line editing and formatting kind of thing. And I think that you could get more leeway and more clarity and like break up the monotony of this stuff by just like switching the format around, like playing with where things fall, what you see, what order. You're more in the function edit and line edit portion of assessing this copy, which kudos to you. Most people are not. So in terms of copy, is there anything else you want to say about this, or should we move on to one more before we call it a night?
I'd say we move on. Still though, good job, good copy.
Yeah, Evan, seriously, good copy. So let's see. She told me to skip that. Skip my critique. Throwing my hat into the ring. Philip. Okay.
Philip, okay. I hope he's still here.
I hope so too. I know we have a lot of viewers and stuff like that in Europe and Asia, and so I know that this is probably late for you guys, but I appreciate you sticking with us, and I appreciate you joining us today. Remember, in the future, if you want your copy critiqued by us on live stream, become a Patreon member at patreon.com/thecopythatshow, and then throw into the exclusive chat channel what you would like us to critique. Evan says, thank you so much. It's been super helpful. I'm glad that we can help out, man. Seriously, good job. You are absolutely going on the right trail.
Go make some money with that offer.
Question.
Okay.
structurally, is it a good idea to put images next to text? The answer to that is it depends. The answer that we love to give here at Copy, the only copywriting show that will always tell you the truth, which is it depends. When it comes to visual design, especially for web pages, the key thing there is where you want the eye to go. If the eye is always running down the middle line of the page, like it's center formatted thing, left justified text, picture that's right in the middle, center, it's all just a straight line through, the reader's eye is going to get bored because the reader's eye is going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. Whereas if you have headline here, text below, image over here with some text there, the reader has to do more work. The reader, thus, subconsciously gets more involved in the page. The actual, what we would call phenomenological and hermeneutic experience of the text. So, no copywriter is ever going to use those words.
The experiential shortcuts you make.
Exactly.
Boom.
So just be mindful of where the eye is going on a page. Don't make it too cluttered because then the eye just doesn't know where to look. But having that simple center, left, right, center, right, left, you should be fine. Just vary it occasionally. So, okay, here's the context. This is a long-form sales page for a spec online tennis course. I have sold online tennis courses before. So has Lindsay, the secretive fifth member of Copy That. It is my first real sales page that came as a result of months of studying. I'm actually planning to reach out, with it to a potential client that has a similar product. Very cool. Everything else is pretty much mentioned in the doc. So let's look at the doc. Product, online tennis course with lessons from the world's leading coaches. Almost all names are fictional. The package is called The Complete Package.
Creative, I know.
I mean, I would come up with a name like the racket bag or like something related to tennis.
Yeah.
Maybe not the ball bag.
Yeah, one point about this is just again trying to be funny or clever. You can just
So we have some compliments. 11:30 here, been really fun and interesting. Thank you very much for watching. I know it's late. We'll get you to bed soon. Not us literally, but figuratively. Anyway, I don't like your fancy words, Magic Man. Well, I don't like that you don't like my fancy words. So there you go. Went to sleep, woke up. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. This one should be super interesting. Okay, I'm excited about this too. The medium long-form sales page. Again, like anytime that you're delivering copy to a client, especially via a Word doc or Google Doc, having this preliminary information is so helpful. It's so helpful. So, target audience, 20 to 35-year-old amateur tennis player that don't have time for real-world lessons a few times a week and are at the 2.5 to 3.5 level of skill. Okay, that's an actual reference to a real thing. They aren't seated players, is what you're trying to say. They lose
get angry.
Yeah. Quite frequently
they tilt.
Playing with their friends. Yeah, so
all right.
Here's the thing. I can already tell you that the inspiration that you need for this page has to come from golfing landing pages. Because boy, let me tell you, when it comes to sporting products, no other product has had better copy written for it than golf. I'm not making that up. And the reason for that is quite simple. Golf, for the longest time, was the rich man's sport. It was the white collar sport. There was more money. The prospects who wanted to get good at golf wanted to impress their bosses, wanted to impress their clients, wanted to look good in front of others. So there was that nascent demand for the product there. They wanted to get better at a thing. Therefore, they need education on it. So there's already baked in demand. The other thing is golf ain't a cheap, poor person sport. You know? If you're struggling to afford Cheese Whiz, you ain't going to hit the links in the afternoon. You ain't going to play the back nine. All right. So golf is, when it comes to swipes, what you want to look for. And there's so many golf products out there, both in terms of like old school copy. I think John Caples wrote some really good like golf copy, right?
Could be. Yeah.
Who was the famous copywriter who wrote
Carlton?
John Carlton. The secrets of the one-legged golfer.
Yeah, one-legged golfer. Yeah, that's him.
So that's important to keep in mind. And so the key thing to take away from a lot of those old school like golfing sales letters is it was speaking to people who obviously have money, who obviously have baked in demand, and things like that. Now, there is, people have grown up in the last 50 years. It's not just golf anymore where people want to impress their bosses. Yeah. So people are now playing squash with their coworkers. People are now playing tennis, as this is the case with their coworkers. So the one thing that I would immediately push back is in terms of this target audience. Every little bit of the golfing spiel was a preamble to this piece of advice. This is where I want to push back a little bit. Because amateur tennis players, people who just go for fun, like, how should I say? They don't just want to get better. They don't want to just stop being frustrated. They want to be the envy of their friends. They want to look good in front of their bosses, their colleagues, their coworkers who would be playing with them. And that's a thing that's happening right now. Lots of middle-aged women play tennis for exercise. Could be even more specific. I think that like just going for one particular demo is good enough. But keep in mind that there's a social aspect to this. It's not just like people want to be better. People always want to be better in the eyes of someone else. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. It completely changes how you approach your copy. So Philip says, yeah, I actually annotated the 55-year-old golfer copy from Carlton a few days ago. Yeah. So I'm sure in reading that, you probably saw a lot of parallels that you could probably draw from and swipe from. So that's something to keep in mind. So hopefully that whole spiel about golfing helped you when it comes to sort of reimagining, rethinking that target audience and how you would approach them. So let's go on from there. One promise: become a better player without spending a fortune. Several coaches specializing in each technique. Mindset to streamline each aspect of your game. CTA, set up for the coaching program. Core emotion. Frustration, perhaps. Let me put it to you this way.
Like you said, there are many different desires and wants around getting better.
Yeah, this is such a sensitive, especially like this is the kind of stuff where you have to worry about it for sales pages more so than like emails or any other piece of copy. And that's what makes sales pages much harder. Luke, what you said, I think, is very astute, which is, we have to think about what is the core emotion that drives us to buy? Because there aren't that many. And is frustration with personal performance enough to push us to actually purchase something? What do you think?
We want to get respect. We want to get status. We want to get ahead. We want to perhaps get rid of the frustration of perhaps being bad at what we do. Like we want to look good in front of others. Like we want to get their, like I said, we want to get their respect. I think those are pretty strong appeals or desires that I can think of right off the bat. So
yeah, I had a masterclass on patreon.com/the copy that show where I talked about this in the context of emails, but it's helpful in the context of any piece of copy, which is that you have to really think about the desire that you are trying to target and make sure that that desire is enough to be able to push somebody over the edge of buying. And frustration, don't know if that's enough. But when it comes,
you got to go further. Like, why are people frustrated? Like, what's the cause? Like, is frustration, getting rid of the frustration, is that important enough? Or are there other reasons why people want to get better? Right.
Yeah.
Like for example, one thing that someone said in the chat was like, like you've got like middle-aged women playing tennis for exercise. like then the want is like to stay healthy, right? And to stay fed. So there might be other new reasons or, desires attached to that particular group.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I would frame this, and obviously Philip needs to do this thinking for himself. The way that I would frame this is, typically the baseline emotions that spur people to buy is the desire to be a hero to their friends and family. No, sorry, it's a hero to their family and the envy of their friends.
Yeah.
That's enough. And so, confidence plays into that a little bit, but also most people generally want to be admired, revered, respected. I'm not going to say that that's human nature, but I'm going to say it's close enough. But when it comes down to it, like, most people tend not to feel as important or valuable or as respected as they often desire to be in their mind. And so what is it
or even
about
think where they should be at? Like
Exactly.
they think they should be higher than they are.
Exactly. And this all ties, so we haven't even gotten to the copy yet, but all these are like important psychological things that person watching this, needs to keep in mind before you even sit down to write a single word of copy, especially longer form copy. And that is, you need to care about what that person cares about. Otherwise, your copy is not going to land well. So, anywho, so competitor
very interesting niche, I think, like sports improvement.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, if you are selling improvement, like, this is going to help you get a little bit better at your game. Your sales are always going to be inferior to something that is selling a black box, a magic pill, an instant hack or cure. Like, people want the secret tactics that no other tennis player has. How do they get that? Well, if the pitch for this is several coaches specialize in each technique, like, it could be the secret hacks of tennis experts, of tennis champions.
Yeah, these are the techniques they use, right? Like,
yeah,
you can like really lay thick with the intrigue here. Like, you just be like, oh, do you want to know what blah 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 does, or this guy or that woman? Like,
yeah. And so, like, all of that is preamble, and I think it's important to talk about because the first imperative verb that I see is improve. And honest to God, if you submitted a headline in a financial sales letter that had the verb improve, you'd be laughed out of the fucking room. Good God. So, like, I'm not saying that you always have to exclude the verb improve. I'm saying I have been conditioned. And you might want to think about that because, and I'll just, again, go back to the litmus test. This will be the third time that I use this. Luke, have you ever woken up naked, tumescent, just completely covered in, like, margarine for some reason, swinging the sheets off the bed?
Nice little addition.
Have you personally ever had that experience and gone, gosh darn, do I want to improve my tennis game slightly?
No. You want to get the edge, right? You want to get the advantage. You want to get the secret sauce.
Yeah. And Laura, I think, says, perhaps jokingly, that that's a valuable test. But that, honest to God, that's how I assess my copy. Like, I go back, I write something, I reread something, and I look at it and I go, is this enough to make me just, like, wake up sweating with desire? So, I'm stealing your copy list as the opening for some copy. You'll see it in the critique channel soon. Lovely. Well, and Laura says that she is serious. No, I sincerely use that a lot, and it's a really useful way of quickly assessing how valuable a headline feels, how valuable copy feels. Luke, what do you think of this headline in general?
every aspect is a little bit vague to me. Tactical advantage. I think there's lots of vague words in here. Even in better shape. Okay, that's pretty concrete. All while sitting behind your computer. Now that's interesting. The last bit that could be intriguing. I think the first part of the headline complex is a little bit vague. Latter part is more concrete.
Yeah, I would agree. I like tactical advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
Because here's the thing, and we have to think about the types of people that would buy this.
Mhm.
If I forget the chat, the comment, middle-aged women enjoy tennis for exercise. If you are marketing to middle-aged women, tactical advantage is not something that they're going to be tripping themselves over to like buy. But if you are selling to like 50, 60-year-old people, who are definitely like rah America, patriots, have like more of a militaristic,
who hate their friends,
like, just like love the idea of just shoving their friend's face, etc., etc. Like that, those are the kinds of people that would respond well to tactical advantage, because they understand intuitively what tactical advantage means. And there's always going to be, this is why you have to think about your demos. Some words and some metaphors are going to land for some demos and not others. So
I just think that first sentence kind of throws you off. So, like as BJ said, maybe cut that one away. Be inclined to agree. Like, what does it really add there? Like, you could start with gain a tactical advantage over your competitors. Maybe switch up competitors with people you play tennis with, or just make it a little less vague. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, this is basically 4 benefit-driven headlines. And I've already said on the stream how I feel about benefit-driven headlines. How many different benefits do you see in this headline, Luke?
So improve your tennis games. That's one. Gain a tactical advantage. You could argue it's the same thing, but it's a little bit different. So it's 2. Advantage over your competitors, 2. Dude while they're in a better shape. So that's 3. And dude behind your computer is 4.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you were trying to sell something as being unique and powerful, are you going to try to emphasize 4 different things, or are you going to emphasize one weird thing?
One weird thing.
Bingo, bango.
It's like how you can gain a tactical advantage over your tennis buddies while sitting behind your computer.
Yeah. I think that's it. This headline follows that standard, like, here's how to get benefit without pain point kind of thing. The pain point being like, actually going out and practicing on the courts. So let's get into the deck copy. So that would be my advice for the headline. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the headline?
No, I think that's it. Give me 1 second. I just got a message.
Okay, sounds good. I will move on and read the deck copy. Discover the secrets that A-list coaches taught some of the biggest names in sports history, such as Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Marat Safin, I don't know how to pronounce that, David Ferrer, and more. No Andre Agassi. no McEnroe. Anyway, all contained in one comprehensive... and how could you have this list without Rafa? Come on. Anyway, all contained in one comprehensive digital tennis course package. Mindset, serve, ground strokes, volleys, movement. The complete package provides hours of invaluable lessons on each of these, obtained from the world's leading coaches in each aspect. This feels weak to me. This feels very
the whole
weak
thing, or
yeah,
okay.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think the problem has to do a lot with like what we were already talking about with the title, which is I think
this doesn't feel like a lead to me. Like that's sort of the problem.
It's not a lead. It's obviously deck copy.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing with deck copy. What is deck copy? Deck copy is the little bit of spice below a headline that's designed to make a person want to keep reading your lead.
Mhm.
And so if your headline doesn't do enough of a job, like especially if it's like a unique focused headline rather than a useful or benefit driven headline, your deck copy is your place to drop your benefits, to actually entice a person to keep reading. Discover, love the verb discover. The secrets, love secrets, that A-list tennis coaches taught some of the biggest names in sports history. So what's going wrong there?
Hmm. I mean, do you mean like the teaching part? That sounds difficult, or
Discover the secrets that these tennis coaches taught some of the biggest names in sports history, such as these names.
hmm. You feel like it's not, these are not benefits, right? This is just proof. Or,
And also, like, it's not, how should I say, it's not using the potential economy that you have here. I'm gonna
Mhm.
write a quick alternative to this. And I want you guys to tell me in the chat. Yeah, I agree. It feels like a lot of information. So that's what I would draw your attention to. Now, I'm going to rewrite this. Discover the secrets that catapulted
Yeah.
tennis's champions to fame. And instead of tennis's champions, you could do Roger Federer, Djokovic.
Yeah. You are now alluding to the fact that there's something here for me to learn about or gain, whereas the other one doesn't really. The other one's just trying to educate me. At least it feels like it's trying to educate me.
Exactly. Like this, the first one, this feels like, how should I say, this is going to sell me something that will teach me.
Mhm.
This feels like the sales page is going to teach me something.
Like
There's a
this
big
feels
difference.
like I'm actually going to get an advantage. Like there's some benefit.
Exactly. It's very specific. It's hyper focused. I'm not saying it's the greatest copy in the world. And like, you are going to need to be judicious and decide for yourself, like, what goes where and how you edit things. You know, you're an adult. I trust you. But look at this verb here. Instead of taught, what do you associate with teaching, Luke?
Boring classrooms.
Boring classrooms.
Something that takes time. Something that takes a lot of effort and time. Whereas when you say, discovered the secret that, sent someone to the halls of fame, that's just a lot more
Not just
instant, right?
sent. I chose the verb
Catapult.
catapulted
Yes.
deliberately. What do
Mhm.
you associate with catapults?
Like it's speed, it's launch.
It's fast, it's big, it's powerful.
And it's the inferior siege instrument.
It is discover the secrets that trebucheted Dennis's champions to fame. Obviously, that's good copy. That was terrible. Don't reuse the verb trebuchet. Yeah, and I would agree with this. Philip, you are doing great. Like, you have
Yeah.
the toe holds in what you should be doing. Now it's just a matter of like thinking, like, with content. And I said this in one other masterclass. The purpose is delivering information. Whereas with sales copy, the purpose is delivering X-formation, which is a very fancy academic term for like providing information that only makes you want to go to find the next nugget of information. It is about enticing a person to keep on, to draw them deeper into the rabbit hole, to make them want to go to the next piece and the next piece and the next piece. And more important than telling what things are is omitting what things are and then leaving later parts of the copy to fill that in. Does that make sense?
I think SBJ makes an interesting comment here. Like it helps knowing this helps you think about storytelling and fiction as well. I actually would argue that lots of copywriters could benefit from reading more fiction because there's a lot of information being withheld in fiction. So
Yeah. There's so I've talked to Kyle Milligan about this, and he has Nesby and Nesby Plus. One of the first academics to ever really think about or do something like that was the guy Roland Barthes in the book SZ. And what he did was he took a short story by Balzac. That it's a name. Don't demonetize us, YouTube. Balzac. I'm not just swearing.
Thanks, Sean.
But he went through that piece line by line, and what he was doing was he was looking how each and every individual clause, not sentence, clause in that sentence added another coded layer to the meaning that people were getting from the story. And copy needs to work kind of similarly, where there needs to be multiple things going on that compel a person to keep reading and then ultimately entices them to buy. So copy's hard. No, I will not use exclamation in my copy unless it's in a bullet. So
that's going to be like the next copy that sales page somewhere. It's like use this exclamation to your advantage.
How to use the exclamation secret to your advantage. Okay, so you don't have to read the entire sales page. I'd love to get your opinion on those. Okay, so why don't we just jump ahead to the bullets? Because I think what I would say about this is very similar to what I said about this. And would you agree, Luke, or do you have something else you wanted to add?
I would. No.
Okay. Dear tennis aficionado, they possess the complete package. I see the pun that you're trying to do here. And this is something that you have to consider when it comes to like positioning offers and things like that. And this is a more high level thing. And a lot of copywriters, when you're just starting your career, you don't need to think about this. But as you get more advanced, you have to sort of start to think like, do people want to get good at every aspect of their game? Or do they want one thing that's going to allow them to dominate everybody else? So, like, for example, that John Carlton, how the driving secrets of that one-legged golfer smoking whatever, like, he was crushing balls off the tee. And the reason why, you got to think about the psychology of golfers. The drive is like the drive is your biceps. They're glamour muscles, but they're ultimately not that useful. Anyway, what was the book name that Kyle Milligan mentioned? No, Kyle, I don't think has ever read this book, but the book is S/Z by Roland Barthes. Nobody needs to read that. It's very academic and it's very dense, and nobody's going to enjoy it. But if you want to torture yourself, go for it. Anyway, to put a pin in the point I was trying to make is people are looking for an edge, and people are often looking for an edge in the biggest, most bombastic thing. So you, as a lower level copywriter, the complete package, totally fine. I see the pun that you're going for here, and I see what you're trying to deliver. The strategic thing that you're going to have to decide as you get more advanced is think about it from a 3,000-foot view. What is the equivalent of the drive in tennis? Luke, what do you think?
In tennis? I don't know much about tennis.
It's the serve. Everybody wants a serve that you can hear from another court. Everybody wants a serve that just sounds like a bomb went off. Holy crap. Now, here's another thing. In that original golfing letter, what they did was, instead of being like, well, this is the complete golfing package that makes you great at all things golf, chipping, putting, fixing the divots in the green that you created because you got angry and threw your putter. Those are all different skills that you need to learn to be good at golf. But what they did in that package, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, I could be thinking of a different golfer package. They focused on the serve, and then they had additional reports about the other aspects of the game.
Ah.
So rather than having a whole sales page that's all about like, you'll get good at this thing, and you'll get good at this thing, you'll get good at this thing. Instead, it's you'll get good at this one thing. It will clearly allow you to dominate everybody, so you'll automatically be better. And then by the time you've sold people on the need for a serve, or this service package, I guess would be another pun.
Let's not be clever.
Let's not be clever. Clever is stupid. The objections that are going to arise naturally is, well, what other aspects of the game should I improve upon? And that's when you start introducing your bonus stack, other sub-courses or other pieces of the puzzle. And that all comes towards the end of a sales letter, the last 50%, I would say. So that would be my, that's for
also,
you.
it's actually a lot easier to sell, like it's a lot easier to convince someone that you've got like an amazing system that's going to teach you how to do amazing, an amazing serve. Meanwhile, and then at the end, it's very easy to just add all the other things on top, right? Meanwhile, trying to sell the whole thing, you're going to get like, just multiply the amount of things you're trying to sell. Now you're going to get objections for all those things you're trying to sell. So I think it's a lot more difficult.
Listen to what Luke said. Absolutely. Don't listen to what I said. Everything I said was garbage. What Luke said was the smart thing. Anyway, so let's move on
to the bullets, right?
Yeah, let's look at the bullets specifically. The complete package will help you develop laser precision and an assassin mindset. Yeah, Philip, I would invite you to go through this sales letter again after everything that we've talked about, because I can imagine as I've gone through that you've probably thought like, oh, I would rewrite this. And so once that started happening, Luke and I don't need to tell you that there are going to be some things that you need to like look at with another set of glasses. Look at again. Alex has arrived.
Oh, God.
Jeez Louise. So, Alex, sorry you broke your foot. I'll ask you later how you did that. But, Sean, make part 2 of the first steps to write copy. Okay. Deal. Done. Let's go to the bullets. Because I want to talk about bullets.
Think we're not there yet.
Yeah, because here's the thing. And this is important for selling courses, books, info products generally. Bullets are important for, how should I say, teasing, alluding to different aspects of the course, and showing people what they're going to get from a product.
Mm-hmm.
We already know that this is an offer-driven sales page because it tells us that there's an offer. And so for that reason, I look at this and I go, well, why wouldn't we just start with a bunch of bullets? People, if we're just going hard into saying, this is a course, why wouldn't we also go hard into saying, and this is what you get in the course?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, we don't really need to do all this warm up and all this talking if we already say, look, this is a course or this is an offer. Like, it's an offer now. The first thing you're thinking is, why this? What am I getting out of this, right?
Yeah. And if we've been at this for 2 hours, so if we had a little bit more time, I would say I'd pull up a example of what I'm talking about, a book promo or a course promo that is very bullet driven. But they're out there and you'll see them. And if you want to go more veiled and more vague and more geared towards like the uninitiated, then you would need more copy before the bullets. If you were just going into an offer, like the offer is right here in front of your face, we'll just start with bullets so that people can make a decision right then and there. So SPJ, bullets draw attention with style. They're also easy to read. Absolutely. Oh, Alex says, I was trying to prove that I could make a bigger bang by kicking the sofa instead of smacking it like usual. Didn't realize there was a wooden beam running down. We've nicknamed Alex the Brain, by the way, guys.
Oh my god.
I've done way stupider stuff. So
be glad that he's got this on mute, Sean. Be glad.
No, he'll get on me about that. He'll like, you know that I'm friends with somebody if I'm willing to poke fun at them. If I'm like super polite with them, then there's no relationship there. So let's go on to the bullets. In theory, I like what this is trying to do. This has promise, but I don't think it has, how should I say, enough promise to salvage. I think that Philip needs to think about this very critically from a 3,000 foot view and think about like the offer, like what am I trying to sell and who am I trying to sell it to? Those are the big questions. Those are value edits. And so we haven't really been focusing on like line edits or function edits here because I think that Philip lacks clarity on those big 3,000 foot view kinds of things, which is what am I selling and who am I selling it to? And
I would say that I think that's also a little bit difficult because it seems like he's sort of made the offer himself, thought of the offer up himself to then sell. Usually when you're freelancing, someone already has an offer. And if you're working with the successful business owner, they already have the thing that they're selling that they know sells well.
Yeah.
So you're doing two things. You're both writing the copy now and you're thinking of an offer. Well, yeah, it's not easy.
I have a relevant experience here related to exactly what you just said. I was consulting for a business that was selling basically love coaching services, like how to become a love coach, how to become an erotic masseuse, how to like basically lead people.
Sean, we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube.
I'm aware. I'm not going to get into the technicals or the details or advertise it. But what I will say is that the guru had one product, just one, like no bundles. Like the one product had like hundreds of different course modules in there. Like there was so much content. Pardon me. But one of the things that she didn't want to do was take individual things out to have that be the focus. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that I advised her to do and highly suggested that she do was really focus on like, well, what are the kinds of customers that you're trying to get? And what can you take out of that bigger product that people looking for this kind of stuff want the most? And that's typically, that's either going to be like people who don't get enough of what? I'm not going to say it on YouTube. Or people that want to be respected and revered for their knowledge in this particular area. And so to that extent, like you need to look at the subsection of your course offerings that would be most appealing to those people. And that was the whole premise and point of me talking about like why the serve would be so important to highlight as opposed to other things. Though you could certainly go in other directions too, since things that help you improve your serve are, saturated. Did that make sense, Luke? I feel like sometimes, especially like 2 hours into a stream, I start to ramble.
No, it still makes sense. I think it still makes sense. And that's me at midnight, so.
Jeez Louise. All right, well, we'll look at these bullets and then we'll let everybody go to sleep. You practically become unstoppable. Here are the exact masterclasses you can listen to once you gain access to the complete package. The Serve Masterclass features Herman Klaus, the man who worked for years with John Eisner and can teach people shorter than 5'8" to serve bombs with one key adjustment to their setup. Lesson 2. What do you think of that bullet?
Serves, huh? Lots of serves. Well, that's good. I mean, it's a little hard for me to parse because I don't know these people. I don't know if the reader will know these people. If they do, sure. If they don't, meh.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to pull this up because I think that everybody should read this. Will you please leave this live up on the channel so I can study it afterwards? I unfortunately miss a lot due to work. Yes. We're going to try to keep these sessions available for free. So let me pull it.
Yeah, SBJ, that's a good question. It's probably easier to find an existing product and try to sell that, or try to think of different angles to sell that, just to give yourself, a foundation to stand on.
I would agree, especially if you're doing spec pieces or doing stuff for practice. Like, offer creation is a science itself. Like, Luke, how I said that there are basically 5 skills
Yeah,
that are valuable.
absolutely.
Offer, that is product creation, is a skill entirely separate from sales and marketing. There's a magic to it that if you don't get intuitively, there are people that are just going to always be better at it than you. So here, I want to do this. So, okay. If anybody has never seen this, I want you to go to Google, and I'm not going to say the illegal thing that you can do. I'm going to instead say that you should go hunting for this. Because it is exceptionally valuable. Now, one of the reasons why it's exceptionally valuable, aside from telling you why bullets are important, it also has a bunch of different templates and different types of bullets. So, the secret bullet. The secrets of the single finger takedowns using moves that are indefensible even by a larger and more experienced opponent. That's a good bullet. That's a secret bullet. So if we look at, if we were going to Mad Lib this, what would we do? The secrets of
serving supersonic
serves. Oh, the secrets of the supersonic serve. I like that. It's alliterative. I like it. Using a simple setup that is practically indefensible to unexperienced tennis players. There you go.
To your tennis buddies, even better.
Yeah, your tennis buddies. Exactly. And we could probably even revise that, how to ace, how to ace off the service line every single time. Things like that. Those. Can zoom in, please? Yes, I will zoom in.
But do you guys see how just sort of before even doing this, setting the stage and thinking about these different desires and thinking about the things people care about, thinking almost much more on a strategic level before going into the copy, doing that almost makes this stuff natural. You read bullets on this, right? This Makepeace resource that Sean's put on the screen here. You can almost fit in those strategic elements that we talked about into any of these bullets, and suddenly you've got a killer bullet, right? Suddenly you've got great copy. There's so much worth in thinking about and preparing what you're doing before actually going down and writing.
Yeah, let's do a random one. Okay. The Mindset Masterclass features Mary Jensen. Now, here's the thing. The people who lead your courses, your classes, when you're selling a class, that's a cred thing. And that's more of a pushing people over the edge to buy, because it gives a face to the ambiguity. But ultimately, I would leave it out of fascinations and bullets that are designed to entice a person. Those are 2 different things. So I don't care who this person is because I don't know them and I don't know how they can help me. So there you're just giving information for the sake of giving information. Which, how is that going to help you sell? So
Precisely.
The sports, so the sports not possessive psychologist that spent hundreds of hours with some of the most stone cold athletes in the world. What is a stone cold athlete?
I don't know.
She helps you drastically improve your mental fortitude with one small change to your perception. Here, now let's use Makepeace's bullets to revise that. So we have this person, stone cold, so stoic, I would guess is what they're trying to insinuate here. Drastically improve your mental fortitude.
Or I guess Athletes with a lot of willpower, I would assume. Maybe.
Possibly. I mean, you do need to have a lot of
Just
willpower.
trying to fit this in contextually. Because like, how does being stoic benefit you as an athlete? Being able to train more, or
Uh,
I mean,
so especially if you've done like professional sports, and I think you've done like Olympic meets, or like powerlifting meets, right? So do you
mhm.
ever like get into your head before the meet? Like, did you ever get like anxious and nervous, like get the jitters before you went out on stage?
Yeah, but that's not really stoicism
So I don't think he's mentioning stoicism. I'm trying to insinuate that,
or
like,
stone cold. Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard for me to grasp, like to see like where are we going with this.
yeah. So what I would say is like, because this is hard to grasp, I would say throw away this bullet. But mindset is important for athletes, absolutely, especially like going into any sort of competitive meet. Ice in their veins. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So if we like just randomly selecting it, what never. So this says what never to eat on an airplane, the dirtiest, deadliest airplane in the whole wide world. So that's a provocative bullet. Like I would want
Mhm.
to learn more about whatever is telling me what not to eat on an airplane. So what never to do before a tennis match with your friends.
Or even what never to think, like what never to,
Yeah.
ponder about or ponder on before a match. Like this is what blah 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 does and teaches.
That for me gives a little too much away, personally.
Sure,
So
sure.
like, what never to do before a tennis match, you know, rather than say think, you go, okay, so this is mindset stuff. Because what you could
Fair.
then do with like a what never to do before this tennis match, or what never to do before a tennis match, you could then say like, the one thing that ensures you lose every game before you ever step on the court.
Boom.
That's a bullet. And you're not telling people, oh, this is about getting the right mindset, but you are fascinating and enticing a person to want to learn more about something that they might dismiss. So that's
Mhm.
powerful. So that's how I would recommend using this resource and revising these bullets. Philip, was that helpful at all? Or would I say the FK score of this copy is? I have no idea. Probably pretty high.
If you wanna have a yardstick formula and like assessing FK, learn how to count affixes of the things that you're reading. And if you don't
Uh,
know what an affix is, you can Google it. It's any compounded thing that you add in your words.
yeah. I will have a whole spiel about FK and all that at some other point, but I don't like FK for the simple reason. Like I once demonstrated this, but you can have a sentence that is almost, how should I say, unbelievably dense and difficult to understand
Mm.
using like single syllable words that are just unusual, like din and wan and vim, things like that. And you could have a 13 word long sentence that has the FK score of like 2, even though it's
Mm.
basically not understandable. But if you just write the word understandably, period, your FK
Mm.
score is going to be like 30.
Yeah.
So,
So what the author of FK says is that is actually you have to sort of like use your own thinking to think about what your audience will be able to understand and whatnot. It's actually better to understand the method of the FK and like what to look for. Like how many syllables are in your words, the affixes that you have in your words, uh, and all the other things. Sentence length, and sort of like use them in your own editing process, than to just take the FK score and being like, this is good or this is bad. Like with any metric, you can't just say boom. You gotta interpret.
yeah. I would say that in terms of the first two pieces of copy that we looked at, I would say that like the first piece of copy that we looked at, the issues were more functional and more line editing. And then I would say that the second piece of copy that we looked at was more line editing, Like it was
Mhm.
already very strong, like strong
Yeah.
offer, strong pitch, strong positioning. It was all very strong. And it just needed to be like finessed to be better. Whereas this was the first piece that we looked at where I think value edits, like before we even look
Mhm.
at the copy, like we had to look at the concept. And I hope that everybody watching this got a sense of the 3 different types of edits that you would want to do to your copy. And ideally, what you would want to do is start with these higher level value edits, because those are going to be where you can improve your copy the most.
Mhm.
Making sure that the offer is dialed in, making sure that the positioning, the demo, like all of that, having all of that laid out before you even write a single word, that's just going to make your copy that much more powerful because you have clarity on what you are trying to accomplish. So I think that we can use that as our segue out of our first inaugural critique stream.
That was really good. Yeah. I liked it. I hope our audience found it good as well. I found it a lot of fun, so I'd be happy to do these again.
I'm looking forward to doing this again. I feel like we're not going to be able to do this every week, but I think
Mhm.
that it could be a valuable bonus for patrons and people that sign up to our paid stuff, because we don't have time
Mhm.
to be on Discord and critiquing copy every single day. But
Yep.
having this carved out period of time, I think, is going to not only allow us to do that, but also be beneficial to everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Is there a way to streamline this process? It's honestly a lot to think about at once. Uh, honestly don't know the answer to that. Hmm.
I think editing is a hard skill. It's something that you learn over time.
Yeah, it's writing and editing are 2 completely separate skills. One of the difficulties a lot of copywriters have to face is they got to learn it at the same time. So,
Mhm.
so Laura says each critique was beneficial. Really appreciate you took the time for this. Thank you for submitting your work for review. We really appreciate that. I hope all this stuff helps. The session greater than content from 99.9% paid courses. I hope so. Luke, I know you sometimes with my tangents and like, oh, let's turn this thing into a lesson. That's just my ADD acting up. So
It's all good. It's all good.
So this is, I don't think I'm allowed to put on YouTube comment. Oh, that's about the bullet thing, years of
Mhm.
practice. My brain is just so full right now, LOL. Well, hopefully this stream provided enough value that you can rewatch it and then, take notes on some of the lessons that we just sort of did offhand. And hopefully everybody who watched and everybody who watches 10,000 years in the future, hello. I hope the apocalypse hasn't murdered all of your family. Um, we are going to get demonetized. Yeah, I hope that the insights that we've shared here are helpful to you when you were thinking about your own copy. So I think that's it. Would you like to say any goodbyes or any farewells or final thoughts for the audience?
I would say see you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Take care. Okay. Now, how do I do this? Oh, end broadcast.